Hey, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all these amazing words. Uh, Tell us where you are. Tell us what day you're watching us. You might be watching this on YouTube. You might be watching this on, I don't know, on Twitter or Facebook or Twitch or, so many places to watch, right? So we're going to be monitoring, we're going to be trying to monitor all the chats in all the places, right? So if you want to say hello, to us. But if some of the chats we don't have access from where we are right now. So if you want to make sure that we can see you, that we can hear from you, you might want to go to the YouTube channel and take a look there, right? So it's youtube.code4.life, right? So I'm gonna put here. But I know in a minute I'm gonna get our guest here today, right? So, but let me just kind of say this really quick here. I can say, okay, youtube.code4.life, right? So yes, if you want to take a look right there, right? So if you want to message us and discuss with us, and for some reason we're not seeing your questions, right? Is try to go to YouTube and see us there, right? So if you want to say hello, if just experiment, say hello in the chat, just so we know that you're there, so we know that we're participating, right? And we're gonna make this very, very interactive, right? So I have a couple of friends here today with me, and he is a Java champion. He is one of the leaders of the London Java community. He's known worldwide as a specialist in artificial intelligence. My friend and the co-host of the Out of Box Developer, Money Sarkar. Hey, Money, how you doing, man?
Hey, Bruno, I'm doing well. Thank you again for having me here. Great to be here. And, this is our second show. Lovely.
Yeah, so the idea, Money, is that we're gonna run this every other week, right? A couple of times a month, right? That was the plan, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and as the saying goes, right? Man makes plans and God laughs, right?
Yeah. But the last time you said another thing about plans, I think you said one of the presidents of the United States had a quote on plans. When you make the plan, you don't need the plan anymore, right? There was something of that
Oh
sort.
yeah, yeah, he's
I
right.
found that interesting as well. What was that?
That's
What were
right.
the
No,
exact words?
that was Wilson Churchill, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, that
It's
was
in the UK, right?
Prime Minister.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he said that plans are useless, but planning is fundamental, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes, because if we the plan changes all the time, we have to adapt, we have to adjust, right? But if we don't plan, then there's nothing to adapt, nothing to adjust, right? So,
Yeah. Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
and that's about career, right, Manny? Our
Hmm.
career is like this all the time, right? We are always having
Exactly.
to adjust things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so Nikita says test, Nikita, right? So yes, we can hear you, Nikita. So that's great, man. So yes, everyone, you can just say hello in the chat. Tell us where you're from, tell us where you are, where you're watching this, so we can have a conversation. So today we have a guest. He's a good friend of mine. Actually, is a guy I spent New Year's with, right? He came here with his wife just to spend New Year's here with us. A good friend of mine, and he's an architect, right? He managed teams in his company, and he's coming here to discuss with us artificial intelligence. So let me bring here Hugo Sakamoto. Hey, Hugo, how you doing, man?
Oh, hey Bruno, thank you so much for having me today. It's a big honor to be here with you guys. So, big guys from the development community. So, thank you very much.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
great.
pleasure to have you here as well, Hugo. Last time it was just the two of us, and of course there was a whole lot of audience. But when we have more power on our side, additional people to voice us, because otherwise it's just myself and Bruno with like 10 million developers watching this show. I'm hoping 10 million are watching this show. More power on our side, additional people to voice us, because otherwise it's just myself and Bruno with like 10 million developers watching this show. I'm hoping 10 million are watching this show. That must be you, Bruno, playing the video. Is that right? Myself and Bruno with
uh,
like
What's going on?
Echoing.
Yeah, I don't think it's playing on my side, but
Is that right?
Oh shoot. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, that was me. All right. I had the page open to test, right, and I forgot that I had the page open.
right.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. I mean, the test passed, right? Because it worked.
It did work, right? Yes. It
Yeah,
passed,
just like
right?
Nikita did test. Yeah, now Bruno is doing test. I didn't do any tests yet, but who knows? Hugo and I are left to do more tests afterwards.
Right. Yeah. No. Nikita's doing tasks right here too, right? So he's on the chat and he wrote tasks. Okay. So guys, just if that's the first time you're coming here with us, we're doing, me and Manny, we're doing this out of the box developer discussions, right? So we want to bring interesting topics, interesting discussions for you, right, to help you advance on your career and help you move forward. So feel free to ask any questions, right? We wanna answer all your questions. So if you're watching us there, let us know what is the biggest challenge you're facing right now in your career. We actually had some people that emailed us beforehand, right? So we have some good questions that I'm gonna pose for our guests today in a few minutes, right? But so the out of box developer is this initiative that we're gonna be doing. Hopefully when we actually get the thing going, we're probably going to be doing like a couple of times a month to be close to you, right? To be here for you, to help you on your career, right? So, without further ado, right? Money, the topic today, actually, let me just say this. So the topic today is, we're going to discuss artificial intelligence, right? I think that is a topic that actually, let me tell a little bit of a story, guys. Artificial intelligence was the topic that started this whole discussion, right? Because I was having a conversation with a friend. He asked a question about artificial intelligence, and I wrote him an email, and so Money sent some. So hey, I want to comment on that too, and so Money went on and comment on that discussion, and then some other people comment on that, and so we started this, and we said, how about we take this to do live, right? So we can have a discussion with people. And so here we are now doing exactly that, right? So Money, we started a discussion on artificial intelligence, but you are the master here, right? And you are the specialist. Both me and Hugo, we're just gonna be here asking questions, right? So you're gonna answer all the hard questions because we can't, right? So
well, I mean,
how about we start with a good artificial intelligence question, right? So, and a lot of people want to participate on this. A lot of people want to do this kind of thing. So, why, right? Why we developers should care about artificial intelligence? Why is this such a buzzword in the developer community? Why every developer is interested in discussing that topic, right? So, can you help us understand a little bit about that?
Yeah, certainly. So I'll tell you about my journey, and that might hopefully throw some light. And I'm going to be as concise as possible because otherwise it's going to be 20 years, and it'll take 20 years to tell you the whole
No.
story.
Yeah.
It's 20 years of journey. But I mean, I was always interested in artificial intelligence 20 years ago, since 20 years. But I've never got the chance to do it. At that time, it was just theoretical. As you know, you need compute power. You didn't have the knowledge. The programs were not there. You didn't have the skills and the whole works, right? And the books were too abstract to understand because you need to be a math genius to understand the book. Nobody explained it to us. And so 20 years hence, since that time, and in my case, it was 15 years hence since that time, I started getting exposed to this because the clients and the employers I worked for did this either as a part of their project or as a part of the business, because everybody's collecting data, right? In this time and age, and in fact, since the last 10 years, it's even becoming more and more. It started to become more and more prominent that every business is collecting data, except they don't know what to do with it, right? Mm-hmm. So, but some businesses are smart and some businesses are forward thinking. So they, like, for example, finance is way ahead of many of the other businesses. And then there are other businesses like defense and space And it's also now travel, leisure. You name a business and industry, they're playing with data because they want to use data to beat their competitors, to get better than their competitors, right? And they have not just data that they collected now, they have like warehouses full of data from the last 50 or 100 years they've been in business, right? They're digitalizing all of that data. So now, what do they do with data? Okay, they heard something called expert systems. So they're trying to build expert systems using that. So that was the initial birth of artificial intelligence. So AI was actually expert systems in the past. And now came machine learning in the last 10 years or so. I might be wrong with my dates, but roughly that. And then just between 5 and 10 years came deep learning, and then afterwards all the other techniques came in. So the question of why developers should be interested, I went a little bit higher in the abstraction level to explain this, is that if business has data and business is trying to now discover what they need to do with data, we have applications that have not yet fully started using the data that business has. It's only partially using it. But not just that, when you now start using data partially or fully, it needs to also justify and bring value. And that's what businesses are trying to do. So software developers who only know how to write pragmatic vanilla code, and I'll show later on a slide where it explains from the perspective of code, from the perspective of developers, what does machine learning and model mean? And I have slides for that. But to answer your question, why should a developer be interested? Simply because when I noticed that I was working in these companies and I was not getting those interesting projects to do, data related, because I'm quite interested in data, machine learning, mathematics, and all that, because I'm a developer who only knows how to do web apps and backend and command line tools, DevOps, that's it. I don't know how to crunch data. I don't know how to use those tools. I don't know what a Jupyter notebook is. I don't know how to deploy a model. I don't know how to build a model. I don't know what a data set is. You see, when I don't know all those things, I mean, I must have read it somewhere and I can, describe the definition of it. But if I don't have hands-on experience, then I don't get those projects. So, and companies now want to, as I said, they have a lot of data. They want to make sense out of the data, and they want to have developers who can help them do that. And so there's a crunch. So there's a lot of data, a lot of expectation, a lot of demands, but less people who know these skills. But the closest people who can do this are developers, because data scientists and machine learning engineers do not have engineering skills. And this is very much a generalization, and I could be wrong, but because they come from a different background, they don't have the engineering skills. And as a developer who writes programs and knows, the software development lifecycle, adding machine learning and artificial intelligence skills and data science skills to your portfolio makes you get that additional edge other people don't have.
Right.
So it's many, many different things because of which a developer now needs to know machine learning, data science, a little bit at a time, right? But if you write code, and this will become also very apparent why developers should know machine learning and the whole evolution of AI and deep learning, machine learning. There is a parallel, and then it's merging, and you'll see what I mean by that. It's a bit abstract now, but to answer your question, that is why, because companies now need skilled people, and just data scientists and machine learning engineers are not enough. We need a bigger pool of people, and that's where developers come in, because we already have all the skills we need. We need those additional skills like math, data science, data analysis, and machine learning skills. And then we fill the bracket, and then we become more useful for our employers and our clients, because then we can do lots more for what they want to do. Programs can be written to become more smarter. At the moment, it's just, small bits and pieces of programs are smart, not the whole program.
Okay, that's awesome, man. Actually, let me put this here. Simon is saying, very best YouTube technology channel. Awesome, Simon. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, guys. Bruno, look what you've done. You just run 2 sessions of the out-of-the-box developer, and you get comments like this, positive ones to encourage you.
That's awesome. Thanks, Simon. We're going to do even more of those then, right? That's awesome, man. Yeah. Okay.
So just to add something, Bruno, about a month ago, actually, during the time when just before the time we did our first session, I did a podcast with Eyal and another person called Jonathan. So Jonathan runs a podcast for developers. And one of the sessions was he wanted to run on AI, artificial intelligence. So in the chat, I'm going to share a link about this where Eyal, I, and Jonathan are answering and asking the same questions, similar ones that you just asked, but like we're also covering other grounds. So if you want to share that with the public, that'll be awesome, because that'll give them a background to your questions. but also give them more information and context to what we've been talking about the last time,
Right.
and we'll be talking about this time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So if
Thanks,
you're
Bruno.
watching the recording of this, we're gonna put all the links that we share here during the day. We're gonna put on the description box below. If you're watching us live, it is on the chat, right? So you can take a look on the chat right there if you wanna save that links for later to go watch those podcasts and other material that we sent to you here. That's awesome. All right, so Hugo, let me tell you, Manny was talking about how important it is for us to learn new things and for us to learn those things for our career and everything. And you are an architect, right? You actually even wrote a book about architecture. So do you think that understanding software architecture is also important for artificial intelligence?
Oh, of course, Bruno. I think I'm not specialist in artificial intelligence, so I do not work exactly with that. But I believe it's as many said, like our development skills are very useful for those kind of tests. So I can clearly address that some challenge might be architecting solutions that will support any kind of AI solution, because there are a lot of data that will be moved from one side to another to collect them, ingest them, and also I believe that that DevOps, any DevOps test, it's also a big challenge for them, because there are many different things that you have to concern about, and I believe that's plenty of challenges for any architect to be working this area, and it's a lot of interesting and innovating technologies that will be that have been developed in the long of these years.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, because I was telling somebody, and I was talking to somebody. I think he was trying to get me, join his company. Is that everything we are talking about, artificial intelligence, data science, machine learning, the framework and the underlying foundation is software engineering, right? Because if you don't have software engineering, data science and machine learning, their work can never go to production. And this is what happens. A lot of projects fail because they struggle to productionize it. Why? Because they don't have an architect to guide them. They don't have a software engineering expert to walk them through the end-to-end process. They don't know about what's an end-to-end process, because that's not their specialty. Their specialty is numbers, data, building models. Their specialty is not the end-to-end flow. And just like you said, data flows from here to there. They don't understand those things in that context. An architect is needed, and an expert engineer is needed to guide them through. A technical architect is needed. All those people who oversee from the 10,000 feet, from the technical point of view, is needed to do this, to get this journey and get it working and successful.
Right. And we're going to talk more about developers and AI here today. The things that we can do about AI and all that. But there is a question here in the chat, right, that I think we want to talk about, right? So who was that? So Canon, right? Canon says AI can write codes, right? Take our jobs. If I learn AI, I can take AI jobs, right? So the question is, look, Manny, every single time we talk about AI, we get people thinking about, hey, we will, AI is going to take our jobs. AI is going to do code for us. AI is going to do that. And, what do you think, Manny? Is that something that's going to happen? Is that something that's going to happen soon? Right. Nikita did say here, well, cars took the jobs from blacksmith, right? But looks like the car mechanics is paid better, right, today. So actually, it could just be better jobs, maybe, right? So
yeah, I think we addressed this question so many times, and the answer is more or less the same answer, right? It's
right.
Like I keep telling, when my dad, this was 40, 60 or 70 years ago. No, sorry, not 60. Yeah, probably 40 years ago. I get my numbers wrong. It was when they introduced computers in his workplace, and they thought that it's going to, take away their jobs and it's a bad thing and all that stuff. But it so happened that it actually meant more people were needed, because more people needed to do those things because they're getting better and faster. But not just that, with a computer comes so many other things, right? Mouse, keyboard, monitor, computer furniture, printer, Then the printer takes a ribbon, at least in those days, or a cartridge, paper. Then you need a printer stand. You need all kinds of other accessories for the printer. So where are those products going to come from? Somebody's going to manufacture them and sell them, right? But then you need someone once a month, at least in those days, once a month, someone comes in and services your computer, does vacuum cleans it and brushes it and checks the internals and tests it. So one computer probably took away one job or 10 jobs, but then it created 100 jobs, because now you have 100 components that need creating, maintaining, destroying or transforming, recycling, and value-added services on top of that. I mean, the list just goes on, because people thought, okay, because if it's a computer, we don't need to print anything. Guess what? Papers were printed in billions and billions of pages, right? So the paper industry took off, right? And then ink and ribbons were bought in hundreds and thousands of cartridges, because you want to print, right? And so it no longer was an electronic thing. It became more paper and pencil thing, right? And then more furnitures got sold, more monitors got sold, more keyboards got sold, because there's wear and tear, right? It doesn't last forever. More mouses got sold, and then all the value-added services you can think of, computer cover. I mean, I can go on, and you can see the whole telephone book full of all the ads. Pretty much 90% of them are directly or indirectly related to computer servicing, right? Yeah. I mean, my numbers are a bit off there, but you can understand, if I'm exaggerating, means that's the big and compensate. So it took away 100 jobs, but it created 10,000 jobs, right? So the same thing with AI. And when I show the slides later on, you will see how the balance is there, how a developer is actually helping and actually getting more productive by actually using these processes. But we'll come to that. But the answer is the same. We just improvise our answers every time, isn't it?
Right. Yes. That's not a problem. But we keep getting that question, right? So we better keep answering it. So so I do have some questions here from people that send me emails about that. So do you guys prefer to go over a little bit your material, or let's answer all the questions first?
Let's see if there are questions coming, and then I can do the slide bit, and then we can share some of those books and other things. I mean, you let me know when you want to share some of those things, because let's do it in some order.
So let's talk a little bit about the question I got here. So Marcelo, actually, I'm going to start with Augustus, because I think he's here, right, on the chat with us.
He's only saying hello. So what question are you going
to say? Hello, right? So Augustus said the following, right? So so let me start. And by the way, we never know.
Okay, the questions are coming in now.
He or she, or so you just let me know if you guys are. But I remember, because Nikita is here, right? So Nikita, when I first met Nikita on a live, right? I kept thinking that Nikita was a she, right? So, and then at some point he said, "I'm a he, but it's cute when you say it." So thanks a lot, Nikita. Right? Nikita is here with us, right? So so Augustus is here with us. That's awesome. So so Augustus sent the following question here, right? First of all, it was not too late, Augustus. We got it right on time, so that's great. So he says that I feel like I'm missing. So he said it's a male name, right? Well, we never know, right? So Augustus says the following, right? So I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of stuff, right? Because my current job, I just get the chance to work with older and proprietary technology. I'm talking about Java 8 and IBM WebSphere traditional servers. So those are not proprietary technology. I mean, those are pretty good, right? Java 8 it's old, but not that old, right? And IBM WebSphere, it's a Java EE server, right? So it's not that proprietary. So that's good, but that's good, right? So all that consume most of my work time, and I also get a chance sometimes to work on new stuff, but that doesn't happen often, right? So and then he said that now the events on the world really affect me. So he has several questions here, right? So I'm going to get back here, because he says that he's from Lithuania and he has friends on Ukraine. So we're gonna get to that question later, okay? I'm not gonna start with that one, Augustus. We're gonna get to that question later, because I think that's the important question for us to talk about here, right?
Sure.
But then he says, so I catch myself, looking at news too much and losing time, right? And then, I think that's those are two big problems that he's trying to work on, right? So he feels that he's outdated. He's working with legacy, with old technology, he doesn't have time in his work to improve, right? And then he spends lots of time on watching the news, right? So what do you think? What do you guys think, right? When you're talking about feeling outdated, right? So how can and that has everything to do with artificial intelligence, right? Because artificial intelligence is the new kid on the block, right? And actually not that new anymore, but it's not, but it's a new kid on the block. Lots of people still trying to learn it. And so how do we do it? How do we learn new technology? How do we move our job to more interesting things if we don't have time to do that work?
Hugo, I'll let you go on this one because
Okay.
I might take up a lot of time to answer those questions.
Okay. Well, despite being updated with technology, one thing that I usually tell my mentees is to start connecting with people that it's inside your focus, your interest. So that's something that things gotta get more fun, because you will connect to people that have the same problem that you with you, that have the same interest as you. So you go after those technology that is important for you, not that all technology that is now it's on the hype, because that's pretty impossible for any of us developers to be updated with everything that's getting new here in the development area. So connect with people that is a reference for you, like you are right now watching us in this video. Connect with people that is in the same as you, struggling with the same problems as you and have the same interests as you, so you can join them and find together some solutions or something that is interesting for you guys, and connect with people that's also starting some a path that is as same as yours. There's a lot of things that we already learned that you can already teach them. So this all will drive you to be more focused and prioritize your interests. So I believe that's a thing that I keep saying. People that ask me about technology, how to keep updated with that.
Yeah, I think that is spot on answer.
Yeah, what I like about what you're saying, Hugo, is that a lot of times we want to learn everything, right? Of course, we want to learn everything, right? But the problem is that we want to learn everything is that we don't know what's the most important things for us to learn, or the most valuable thing for us to learn. And if we have a group of people that we're talking to, right, then we can actually see what everyone thinks is the best thing, right? So because there's a lot of things going on, and each one, for just the three of us here, right? So you got Money, and he focused on artificial intelligence. You got Hugo, you focus on architecture, and me, I'm just talking to you guys, right? So I don't focus on anything. But so when I need something, if anyone asks me a question about artificial intelligence, I go to Money. If anyone asks me a question about architecture, I go to Hugo. So I by having friends, right, by having a network, we increase our access to skills. That's one thing that people forget, right? When we have a good network, we increase our access to skills because we know people that know this stuff, right? And so it's much better for me to ask you Money and say, hey, Money, look, man, is it time for me to learn artificial intelligence right now? What is the best thing that, right now, not 5 months ago or 10 months ago or 2 or 5 years ago, right now, what is the one thing I need to learn about artificial intelligence? And then I can just kind of move on that particular one, and instead of trying to learn everything, because I have a good network. So I love that point, Hugo.
There's also one small fallacy here, and we keep hearing this year in and year out. What is this learn everything, right? That is a fallacy. There is no such thing as learn everything. You only know there's so many parameters to consider. You only can learn what is within your domain. You can only learn what you can within your skill set, right? I mean, of course, I'm not saying don't learn anything outside your skill set, right? I'm saying that let's be reasonable. In technology, if you know something, you're not going to learn something totally far off from it, right? And like be strange and turn and learn something even far off, because you'll never be able to use them together. I'm not, it's very subjective, but and also you learn from, as Bruno was saying, from the network and context you're in, right? You can't go to a musical group and learn software. You got to go to a software. Even in a software group, you cannot go to a database meetup and talk about Linux kernels, right? It makes no sense. I mean, maybe there's a Linux kernel expert there, but so it's all subjective and contextual, right? So that everything, the definition of everything is the everything you can remember, know within your network, within your domain. I think that's what needs to be clear. And then when you overlap with other people and meet other people, then your domain expands a bit, and that everything expands a bit. But everything is not the meaning, like everything that's in the encyclopedia and all the books that we have on our shelf and all the books that are there in the Library of Congress or wherever the biggest library in the world is. That's something that needs to be clear. This is what's giving people imposter syndrome and all kinds of other feelings and emotions, and they're feeling they're falling behind just because they don't have knowledge of what somebody else has. So I just wanted to make this clear because I think it's very important to keep this in mind.
That's awesome, man. So actually, Money, I'm gonna have to plug something here, man, because
please go ahead.
You stop learning everything. And actually, I wrote an article with exactly this title: stop learning every new technology now, right? You're putting your developer career in risk, right? So I do believe that. I do think that if you try to learn everything, you are putting your career in jeopardy. And so actually, I'm gonna put the link to this article right here. Let me be clear, and I'm gonna actually put it on the chat. Let me just kind of put it in the chat really quick here.
While you do that, I'm going to make a disclaimer. There was no hint from Bruno for me to say these things. He just found an opportunity and he dived in. This is what he does all the time.
Of course, right? Look, the most important thing for you when you're participating with talking with people is to pay attention, right? You got to pay attention to what they're saying. You got to pay attention because that's the way that you grow, right? So I'll be very honest with you guys, right? So this is an article, and in the end, it's also a sales page, right? So in the end, you're gonna have this awesome offer for me, and I'm telling you ahead of time, you don't need to buy anything from me, just so you don't say, oh, Bruno tricking me. No, I'm not tricking you. It is a sales page, but the information here, it's totally amazing, right? So I made very, very sure that you get, you read this article and you're gonna get a lot of information out of it, even if you don't want to buy anything from me. But since I'm talking about buying something for me, one thing I gotta say that if you join me on the Skill Master System program, that's the program I talk on that page. You get a one-on-one conversation with me to help you really improve your career, right? So so how about you can try that too. So if you want to take a look at the article, stop learning every new technology now. You are putting your developer career in risk because you are, right? So I totally agree with Money there. That was my quick plug, and I'm gonna take it. Yeah. So Simone said, "Can I stop studying 30 hours a day?" Yes, Simone. Yes, you can, man. You should. Stop studying 30 hours a day for sure.
What kind of a clock he's using, I don't know, to get 30 hours in a day, because mine gives only 24 hours and I'm sleeping half of the time. So
right. Exactly, man. Exactly. So that's very good. So Augustus keep talking about more things here. He says that, very true about imposter syndrome, right? Just feel that it hits hard sometimes when you try to learn everything, right? So yes, just don't try to learn everything, man, because that's not going to be good for you. And actually, I'll tell you what, right? People think that if they try to learn everything, they're going to be up to date with everything, and then they're going to have this awesome opportunities, right? And that is not true, right? You don't get awesome opportunities by learning everything. You get awesome opportunities by going very, very deep on the things that matter to you, right? So I introduced it here. Money saying that he's an specialist in artificial intelligence. I know Money does a lot of other things, right? He's a consultant that does a lot of things, but people know him for artificial intelligence, right? You got Hugo. Hugo does a lot of things, right? He works for a big company. He has a team. He mentors lots of people. He was telling me yesterday he has like 18 or 20 mentees that he mentors. He does a lot of things, but he's known as an architect, right? So that's kind of the thing, right? You got to go deep on something to really push yourself in the market and promote yourself in the market in the right way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, very well said. So, somebody had some questions about. Uh, okay, well, Bruno, I was thinking. I think this is the right time for me to do the quick slide
All
on
right.
what I wanted to show
Yeah, go
because,
ahead.
yeah, I think it's gonna plug in very well. So, what I'm
So,
going to
so
do.
why you share your screen, right? So Bruno says that's a great tip on the article. Thanks a lot, Bruno. So if you guys, take a look at the link on the chat or on the description below, if you want to take a look about the article and stop learning everything. Now there is Augustus. There is your question about try watching a lot of news and all that. We're gonna get back to that, but let me just make sure that we can show Money's screen here. Yes,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
And I'm also sharing the link to the slides. The one that I'm sharing is a live slide, meaning as I have it on my screen, the ones who go to that link can also see it. They can download the PDF. Obviously, they're not in this on the same file, but they'll see the same contents. And basically, this is a very different view of artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and what is called reinforcement learning. And I'm trying to do a perspective from a human perspective, from a model perspective, and a coding perspective, right? So this is very different from what academia does, what all the material that is out there. Of course, I've taken information from all the material, I put it here, but I've reorganized it and changed the perspective. So developers, lay people, and everybody else who doesn't focus on the subject can know about 4 or 5 of these components and know actually where do they sit on a very high level abstraction plane. Okay, so what I will do is I'm not going to go through all the slides. I'm going to go through key slides and I'm going to go to the summary. And the
Okay.
rest of the slides, there's a lot of information in there. It's for you to go and read and understand and ask me questions on social media or through Bruno's newsletter or anywhere else. But maybe we'll cover some of those slides another time. But I will only go through 3 or 4 slides out of the 14 slides. That way we are concise and we don't confuse people. And the summary slide is actually the crux of the whole presentation. And then the other 3 slides are going to go tell you the composition of AI, ML, DL, and reinforcement learning. And these are only my perspectives. So I don't claim I am 100% correct. Normally, I have a page that talks about me, but we're going to skip this. This is the page. In case you haven't picked up the chat in the link in the chat, and if people are watching the video, they can go to the slides either by the bit.ly link or by just scanning the QR code, and then they get to the PDF. So I'm assuming everybody on this channel already has this link, so we're going to skip this page. So this is the definition of traditional AI, or AI that we know from 50 years ago, and it's not changed, right? It's basically trying to model intelligence of a human being into a program, but some human being is writing a program in the form of if then statements, else statements, and lots of if then else statements, and that is artificial intelligence. And what I've done is, as you go through the slides, you will see what the different compositions are, what are the subsets. So what I've also done is I'm going to skip through these and I'm going to come to this slide. I've given for every of the composition component, I've given an example program or source code that you can look at to see what actually that component means. So if you want to know what artificial intelligence is from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whenever those terms were created, have a look at the ELIZA program. And then you also can find out from the source code what ELIZA is. And so ELIZA is this program created by the MIT lab, which artificially writes a lot of code which imitates like a human being, but actually it isn't. It just randomly generates sentences, and people, when you interact with it, it writes back, some sensible, non-sensible sentences. And if you read it, it may seem like a human being's talking to you. So that's kind of simulating artificial intelligence. But this is from the early days, okay?
Early
but
days,
then
right?
comes
It was
yeah.
fun to work. It was fun to work with Eliza, right? You had she's very good in asking questions. What makes a big difference, right? So a lot of people don't ask questions, so people just kind of would answer long answers to her, right? So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, she would take anything she didn't understand and ask you back that question,
Right.
as if a human being would do. And human beings do that sometimes as well, right? So that was AI from those early days. But recently, maybe a decade or 2 ago, comes machine learning. So what is machine learning? It's about making computers to able to think and act with less human intervention. You see, AI needed a lot of human intervention. Somebody needed to code all the lines of code to think about all the angles and all the compositions of what can happen in a setup where a human being would behave in a certain way, so the program should behave in that certain way, right? And there's lots and lots of rooms of gaps there, right? But with machine learning, you collect the data, you give it to a program, and the program creates the model for you, and that's your program that will talk to the world. And you can see machine learning is a subset of AI, so it's a smaller component, right? So we're not going to go through the next slides, but we're going to the one. This is an example page to show you what ML models are. What is an ML model, right? So I'm not going to go into details of it, but you can find a lot of code snippets here. There are also diagrams to explain to you what machine learning models are, and this gets you right to the point. Instead of going through all the academic papers, you go here, you get to see the practical aspect of what ML is. And this slide will give you an idea of where you are in your hierarchy, in your abstraction level. AI, and then inside AI is ML, right? So this is ML, not older than 10 or 20 years. I mean, of course, ML used to be called something else previously, but it's called ML in the last 10, 20 years. I may have my dates wrong, but just for reference purpose, it's that date. So we're going to now skip all the way to the next one. Now comes deep learning, which is even more recent. Actually, deep learning is probably just the last 10 years. And deep learning has come about because of super fast computers. Even machine learning is a result of the availability of super fast computers. Now, deep learning is one step further than machine learning. So it is a subset of machine learning, and it is now being able to make the computer learn from learning to think using structures modeled on the human brain. Now, this is one level higher than machine learning, what machine learning does, right? And so this is something we should also understand is where artificial intelligence or deep learning and machine learning is going. So we're going to skip through the next few slides, and I'm going to take you to the slide where I have a link that shows you all the deep learning models available on Kaggle. Again, this link will show you diagrams, show you compositions of what a deep learning model is, also the code, so you can get to the point how machine learning, deep learning models are created, right? Then, and this is even more recent, something called reinforcement learning. Now, reinforcement learning is a little bit more sophisticated. It is a subset. If you see in the diagram on the top right corner, it is overlapping deep learning and machine learning. So it's taking the good and best parts of deep learning and also machine learning, and it's doing something more sophisticated. What it's doing is the computer is able to think and act with no human intervention based on rules, rewards, and end targets. That means you give a small program a set of rules to follow. You tell it that if you do this well, you get a plus point. If you do this not so well, you get a minus point. And your end target is this, or your end targets are these. So the program, when it keeps getting data, will look at the rules and say, is it fitting this rule? Oh, yeah, I've done well. I get a plus point. So this is the right thing to do. And as the program is able to achieve the targets or closer to the targets, it keeps getting more and more points. And the moment it hits the target, that trajectory means that pathway it has followed is more optimal. It remembers it. That builds the model internally. So you see, it starts with zero. It starts with nothing, just like a human being. So you see in the previous slides, we say we already had data, we crunched it, we compiled it into a model, and now it is a program, right? So it's already ready. But here, there is no model, there's nothing. It's one program, set of rules, target, rewards, and that's it. And it has to follow all of that, and then builds the model as it goes. So like games, and you will come to see the example. AlphaGo is a reinforcement learning model example. What does AlphaGo do? It plays the game because it has been made to play millions and millions of Go games with experts and replay of old games, and it has learned the rules and it has created the model. So it has been built from scratch, and that data is not available anywhere and has built from the data. So that is where we are now, and it is. I mean, there are more components and subsets, but this is where we are now with our advancements in machine learning or AI or whatever you want to call it. And to summarize, this is the perspective that is most important. This is the human developer model perspective. So you see on the top right corner, it says for coding and developer perspectives. So what is AI? To summarize all the slides we have gone through, humans write intelligent programs. Programs have features or data embedded in it. The program is static because once you have written the program doesn't change on its own, right? You run it, it's on the server, it's static. What is machine learning? Humans use a program to create another program from the data that it has collected from the environment. So all of this is done manually, and a model is created from it, right? So look, humans are still not out of the loop, right? Humans are still needed. Deep learning, humans use a program to create a program that automatically learns from the data. You see, this is more advanced than the previous one. The previous one doesn't automatically learn. It needs to be told certain things, and it'll do it based on that. Like, features need to be told. But in deep learning, it finds those features. So it learns automatically, finds those features that humans have not told it, and it finds even features that humans have told it and other features that it hasn't told, and then builds a model from it, right? And that's your program. That model is actually a program. Finally, you have reinforcement learning, and this is more sophisticated, and you want to pay attention to this, and I'm going to go slow with it because this is unlike the other three, but it is bits and pieces of all the other three together, and the next level up. So humans use a program to create a program that follows specific rules, rewards, targets, which leads to creation of another program by learning from real-time data features. So what is real-time data? Let's say you want to train an AlphaGo program. It knows nothing. You start playing Go with it. It's going to keep losing for a long time because it doesn't know. But the moment it gains enough of the information of how it can lose, then it knows how it can win, right? Because that's how the intelligence works, right? Because the reward system and the specific rules is made to drive it from losing to winning. Because you get more rewards if you're winning, and that's what the rules and the game and the program is made to do. So when it starts winning, it knows those are the right paths, and after a certain number of games, it'll keep beating you, and then you'll never be able to beat it because it knows more ways to win. Then this is just a game, but you can use this same model to solve many problems in business, right? This is gamification of the business. So this is where things are going. Programs that create another program that creates another program, which you still need a human being to drive all of this, and it can get very complicated, but that's where we are. So now tell me, where is the human element removed from here? Only in the reinforcement learning, which is not done and as advanced, and not every problem can be solved with reinforcement learning. But if you look in the other three elements, humans are still needed. So can we still say our jobs are not secure? Even for the last element, the reinforcement learning program will not just kick off on its own. You need a human being to assemble all of that together and think about it and get the results and monitor it, manage it, architect it.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do in each one of those steps, right? And so
absolutely. Yeah. We need architects. We need speakers like you. We need some people like me sometimes. So everybody's got a job and more jobs because these programs are going to create more work for us.
That's awesome, man. That's great. Okay, so any questions from the audience, guys, about this? So I love the fact that and so actually, I have one question for you, Mani. So you mentioned things like kind of going more and more specific, right? So right now, if someone is starting for artificial intelligence, or someone wants to get a job or wants to enter in this world, right? Do they need to go and learn this whole thing, or do you think that if they go directly to reinforcement learning, they have an edge there? What would be the path that you would suggest?
I would still say top-down approach, outside in, always works for any topic, any subject. Start learning from the higher levels of abstractions, okay? Start learning from, try to find out where all artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and reinforcement learning, where all they are used in terms of programs, services, everything you see in the world outside, right? On the internet, there are lots of services, lots of programs that use these components and features, right? Try to figure that out and try to see what are they doing. What does the intelligent think that they're doing? And then go deep from there, because if you don't understand application, learning the technology is pointless, because technology is vast and it doesn't tell you how to apply it, right? Technology doesn't tell you, this is how I am, apply me like this. It's you need to know the application from the outside in, and then you can capture those components and those nuggets of technology to use, like, this is also technology, right? To use that technology for, and then you become more powerful in your work, because then you're very optimized in your way, right? Because you don't waste time in learning inside out,
Right.
like an academic person who goes to university, learns all the things, but doesn't know till the end. They get a job and apprenticeship and all kinds of other work experience to learn. Oh, like it took me 20 years to learn a lot of things that I know. But if had I already been taught, like, actually these things are used this way in here and outside in, then I would have done this a lot quicker, right? So that's my answer. They don't need to know everything from the fear point of view, but they need to know where all the things are used, how do they work, where is it applicable, and then start drilling down from there. Because then you can say, okay, this web service uses, like, for example, let me give you an example. Like, there is a service that analyzes log files and smartly tells you that there's a problem here, problem there, because it uses artificial intelligence, right? Just focus on that. Okay, so the use case is great. That means analyze log file that human beings don't have to analyze anymore. Okay, so that is the plus point. That's the application. But how is it files? It's pulling out tokens from the log files. Okay, but then what is it doing after that? Okay, it's collecting all the tokens and it's assigning some sort of a value against those tokens. If the tokens are good, it says plus. Tokens are bad, it says minus, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's see, how should a program work? What are the different things that we need to know? Okay, we need to know how to extract a string from a log file and then tokenize it, and then create a model from that, and then map that model to good and bad values, right? And then if there's a new line that comes in and we compare it to the model say, okay, I found this good tokens and this is bad tokens, so this is 50% good, 50% bad. Great, now you know enough of the system, right? Can you now build it? And you can start building small parts of it. And once you know that, you know the principle, the first principle, you know a lot more AI than someone who's just come out of the university with the AI degree, because they don't know how to apply, because they have not drilled it down from that point of view. Mm-hmm. So they could tell you the properties and explanations and big details over the maths behind it, but that is useless, right? If you don't know how to apply it. So that's going to be my answer to your question, and maybe applicable in many places.
Yeah. So Augustus says here, that's some interesting thoughts, right? We can see now that some manual labor jobs are being replaced by machines, but advancement of AI will most probably create more advanced jobs in the future.
Very well said.
What we're seeing there, right? Because the things that you're talking about, the things got a lot more advanced, a lot more sophisticated, and we are needed on more sophisticated things. What I think is a great thing, because that was exactly Augusto's question, right? I want to do more interesting things. I don't want to do old technology. I want to do more interesting things. So how can I do more interesting things if there's no more interesting things going on in the world, right? So the more interesting things they go, we move in that direction. That's awesome. All right. So Canon says here that for a developer perspective, it's just a fitting function, right? Math side and hyperparameter tuning takes most part, right? So do you want to comment on that?
So yeah, I think he's spot on that. In fact, many of those things are already written. They are not something we need to write every time as a developer. Like the fit function is already available for many models. The math part is already taken care of, and hyperparameterized tuning packages are available to do that. We just need to compose them and combine them together and create a pipeline, and voila, you have the model. So, but somebody has to do that. It's not going to do that on its own. It's not an automated system like we would think. We lost you for a little bit, Bruno. Was that normal?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, so we're getting close to the end of our time here, right? So we're supposed to finish in 1 minute, but we're going to be a little bit late here today. There's another question here that was sent to us by Marcelo Araújo, right? And Marcelo, he basically, he wrote like a long text that I'm going to try to just kind of resume here. He did say that his the first job as a developer coming from a 12-year career, right? He was on help desk and sales operation, BI jobs, right? And then so he's now as a developer on his first job, right? So he's saying that on his last job, right before he was a developer. So in his last job, he was a senior that trained people, right? And so he knew all the answers, right? And people could come to him. He knew all the answers. He was the master, right? The tip of his tongue, right? So now that he's on his first job as a developer, he's wrong a lot, right? So when all the senior developers talk to him, right? And so he doesn't know, right? That's his first job as a developer, right? So he's trying to learn. He's trying to find the asking for help or researching himself to answer the question, right? So because he still thinks that he needs to know everything, and he needs to be able to know all that, but he has to ask for help a lot now, right? Because he doesn't have the answers right now, right? So and then he's like, if I wait and spend lots of times, maybe I'm going to spend days searching for an answer, right? And that's going to impact the result and going to impact the project, right? But if I don't try to find an answer, just go ask questions, people get mad at me because I'm bothering them, right? So, Hugo, you're dealing with 20 mentees, man. I'm sure this kind of questions showed up all the time. So what do you do in that kind of situation?
Oh well, yeah, I think it's a very common situation when you have to move from a different area from another. So a person that did this, who is very close to me, it's my to development areas. She is a data scientist, and she's looking after, and she just started from the zero. So she really needs a lot of help. And well, if in your work, so it's very normal that you will need help. You have to connect with people, like we said before. We have to have a good network of people that can help you to solve the problems. So if you don't have this inside your job, inside your work, you can find it outside there. There are many developers that can help you and that can also learn also from you, and you can help them. So it's not so bothering other people. You try to help them, and they will help you. I think that's something that you have to find out inside your connection, or bring some people that can help you. Fortunately, in my where I work, people are very they help each other very well, and I incentivize this collaboration environment. So so much in this kind of situation, but yeah, if if it's more scarce at your work, you can always find a big community outside your work that will be very willing to help you.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. All right. So, I just want to get back to the last question we still have more questions here, but not going to be able to answer all of them. But we did promise to Augustus that we're going to get back to the question, right? Because he said that one thing that he talked about the war. Right? He lives in Lithuania. He had friends in Ukraine, right? And we're close countries in terms of culture and history. So the war is basically treated like our war for freedom and democracy, right? So sometimes I catch myself monitoring news portal way too much, right? And that's a reality, right? So when we get a situation like this, it's very heavy on us, right? For all of us. I mean, we have I have lots of mentees that are from Ukraine, right? And so I'm reaching out today for them daily and trying to have a conversation with them. So it does, but it's not only that situation. I mean, there's lots of things that that happen in our lives, right? That really gets very heavy, right? You might get sick, for example, right? You might have someone in your family that's sick. This whole discussion about COVID. You might be worried about losing your job and trying to find a new job. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be can be going on in your life that it gets heavy in your head, right? And on top of all the things that in your life that gets heavy in your head, there are also a lot of things that you have no power over, right? you see the news, and there's this politician said that, and this this important actor did this, and that this big thing going on. There's lots of things going on in today because of social media and the internet. Everything that happens in the world, you get to know about it, right? And there's a lot of things that there's nothing that we can do, right? And then, but it gets heavy on us, right? Because we keep thinking about how I would do, or how do I solve that problem, or maybe my friends are going through this problem. So so sometimes we need to filter those things out, right? So sometimes we need to put limits on ourselves, right? So how much news we go after. How much, the same thing. Look, guys, we're telling you here that you shouldn't learn everything in terms of technology, right? So if you limit yourself in terms of technology, should you also limit yourself in terms of news? Yes, right? Yes. So you have to find out what are the things that you really matter to you, and the ones that really matter. Go protest if that's what that situation really matters to you. Go write articles. Go do something. Go fundraise. Go if the situation really matters to you, go do something. But if there's nothing that you can do, or the situation, you're not willing to put all the effort to make a difference, right? Man, tune out, right? Unfortunately, you have to decide what is important for you and go after the things that are important for you.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to filter. So if something is bringing you down, then mental health is most important, and you need to filter that out of your system for as long as it takes. And this is what I do. I don't watch news. I don't read news, because news is everywhere. So even if you don't read it, you don't miss it, because some form or the other news comes to you in today's time. If it was 10 years ago where you only relied on the newspaper, then you needed to read news. But in today's time, there's also so much news that brings you down. There's fake news, all kinds of stuff that you can think about, right? That can be negative and bring you down. So I actually switched off myself from all kinds of news, because there's no time, and I don't want to waste my time venting on things. I've got so many other things to do, right? There's the subjects that we are all looking at in the technology field takes up all of our time. I mean, I spend an hour or 2 hours nearly making those slides, because I want to make them easy for people to understand. But whilst I'm making the slides, I'm also learning. So where's the time to read news? Because 2 hours reading news and watching news videos, I spent in a proper productive thing that I can share here. And now the slides are online where people can learn from. So let's do something like that.
Let me just point out. So Nikita just said here in the chat, he said, well, we can all help developers from Ukraine find jobs, right? Maybe in the European Union, or in the US, or in Brazil, right? Whatever, right? So yes, you can always help people. So if that's something that matters to you, by all means, go do something, right? But do something instead of just watching all news and all things, right? You can watch a little bit of news to understand what's going on, of course, right? But and so I know we're getting to the end of our discussion here, and so I'm gonna invite our guests here to suggest a book to read, right? And actually, I'm gonna suggest a book to read that has everything to do with this question from Augustus, right? About news, right? And that is a book that really changed my life. It's kind of an old book. It's not, it has several years passed, but it's a pretty awesome book. And it's this one here, right? Actually, it's from the time that we had books in print, right? Because now on Kindle we have to show books digitally. But this book here, The 4-Hour Workweek, from Tim Ferriss, this book is awesome book because it changes the way you think, right? It changes, it changes the way you approach things, right? And one of the things that he talks about here is exactly about information diet. Reducing the amount of information that you have to do, right? So Money's already put the link here that we're gonna put in the chats, right? So that's a book that changed my life. It made me an entrepreneur, right? Once I understood. And by the way, it's not about working 4 hours a week, right? That's not the idea, although that's the focus of the book. The mentality that the book provides to you is going to help you create a lot of different things in your life, and I do suggest that even if you're just going to want to continue to work for someone, the book still going to be very, very valuable. So the 4-Hour Work Week, that's my book of the week, right? So suggest. Money, I think you're on mute.
I think you're in mute.
So
Oh, sorry. Yes. So just to complement your book, I have another book called Deep Work by Cal Newport. I think one of you or both of you might have heard about it. And it's a highly recommended book. This person is a technical person, a technology person like us, and he works in the US. And he has shown us in the book how you can remove yourself from distractions like Twitter, social media, Slack, and organize your week so that you stay mentally fit and focused and still be able to do all the technical work. And I mean, some of the things he does in there is slightly extreme for some people, but it makes sense why he does that and how it brings him results. So I have a copy of this book. I recommend you buy a paper copy. I mean, if you want to read a Kindle, it's great, but it's a great book for reference a lot of times. And I have used the quotes from his book and the tips from his book in my workshops and presentations. That's how useful some of the things he says in the book are. And it's especially for technology people, because he's a technologist himself and he has written the personal experience, and that counts a lot. And this complements very well with the 4-hour work week, because if you see the good habits and the good qualities from both the books, if you put together, it will take your life to the next level. And I had used the tips and tricks from the Deep Work book myself, not all of them, but enough that I really found it valuable, and I've used it in my presentations and workshops to help other people. But if you read the book yourself, you're definitely going to be able to pick more things and other things that I'm going to be my recommendation for that complements Bruno's book.
Awesome. So Augusto, thanks for the book suggestions. How about you, Hugo? Do you have a suggestion for a book?
Since we were to talk about AI and stuff, I try to connect with architecture. That is my field, and I separated this book that I think it's a great book to get started with data solutions, where you need to manage and transfer a lot of data, so we can support create architectures that will support an AI solutions. It was a great book, a practical book, so it's very thin and very a short read. So I recommend it for people that want to start in a field of architecture, but also connect with data solutions and like AI. So that's my suggestion for today.
All right. So architecting data solution. That's Hugo's suggestion. So if you're watching this on YouTube, we're gonna put all the links in the description box later on, right? So Simone said, excellent book, awesome, right? And so we're getting to the end of this discussion here. Do you guys want to suggest something for people to do? Yeah, Money. Yeah, I already put here, Money. Thanks, man. It's already put on the chat, so that's great. So, so do you guys have any suggestion what people could do? What kind of action people could do next week for them to Money? Me and Hugo, we have the same action here that we're going to suggest. So how about you? And then I'll let Hugo talk about his.
So I mean, I would say that watch this video again and do a mind map of many things that we've talked about in this book, because that will, and not just this video, watch the out of the box developer version 1, the session 1. We have talked about a lot of stuff and we don't go into details. I mean, of course I go into details, but Bruno keeps concise and summarizes things, and the best way to learn is to mind map it. So that'll help you create an index for yourself, because we give so many tips, we share links, we say so many things. You won't be able to remember just listening to the video. But if you mind map it and you keep mind mapping and merging all the mind maps of all the different videos, that's going to be a great task. And if you keep doing it, you're going to create a massive set of information just for yourself, but you can later on share it with everybody else in the community as well. So that's going to be my suggestion for a task for they can do, because there will be more such sessions like this coming, because we have a whole list of them. And if they start mind mapping, they'll already be on the right track.
Right. So Nikita says, don't get lost in books, right? So read books 20% of the time and spend 80% of the time sharing, right? So yes, I agree with you. So we're gonna leave that as a topic for next week. So actually, I'm gonna ask for money to write that down. We can talk about reading books and spending too much time reading things on the next call. We're not gonna be today, right? So money, if you can put that in our list of topics that we're gonna talk about, because that's a great topic, Nikita. We're gonna discuss that next time. All right. So in terms of action that you guys can do today, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna suggest is we have this series of books called the Low Hanging Series, right? It's a very short books. They're gonna help you acquire important skills, right? So I'm gonna do this as a suggestion for both me and Hugo, because there is the Hugo Low Hanging Software Architectures. That's his ebook here, and you can get that ebook right there. There's my book, the Low Hanging Talks, right? So to help you share information like Nikita's talking about. There's also the Low Hanging Code Smells by Scott Wirshan. This is going to talk about refactoring. The Low Hanging Challenges, right, by Rafael Del Nero, the creator of the Java Challengers, right? And the Low Hanging Machine Learning book from Eyal Wirsansky, right? So you can get all 5 books here for free on MN/LHB, Low Hanging Book, right? So you can get all those books. That would be a small things that you guys can do, and all of those books are very short, right? The Low Hanging books, right? So they're very short, but they're to the point, and they're gonna help you acquire the right skills very fast, right? Okay, so that was our. So Hugo, do you want to talk about something about the Low Hanging books?
Oh yeah, I think I would just add that all of the low-hanging series, it's a great start to take action, and certainly will fit those 20% of the time that you have to read books. So yeah, it's a great suggestion.
Okay, awesome. All right, guys. So we're way past time here, right? So let me thank my 2 guests here today. So thanks a lot, Money, for participating on this project here with me.
You're welcome.
It's great to have you all here. And we're gonna be doing this. We're gonna try to do at least once a month. We're gonna try to do twice a month. And let me and Money adjust our calendar so we can get to that point. So thanks a lot, Money, for participating in this, and thanks a lot, Hugo, for being here with us for the first time, and hopefully to see you again in the future. So thanks, everyone. Do you guys want to say a quick goodbye?
Oh yeah, thanks Bruno for the invitation at this session. Manny also, it was really a lot, and it was a great honor for me. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in the next opportunities.
Thank you. So Nikita is saying thank you. Augusto is saying thank you. Simone is clapping, right? So yeah, so thank you, everyone. So do you want to make the honors first to finish here, Amani?
Yes, definitely. Thanks again to everybody. Like, in like 10 minutes time, everybody just came in when we started the session, and they're as always engaged, asking the right questions. In fact, their questions are leading to the segue into our material that we want to show, like the slides and the books and all the other things that we have here. So really thank you goes to the audience, because they are actually helping us drive this session into the right direction. Obviously, we are coming with plans, but they're also boosting it further by doing all they're doing. So really big thank you to them, and definitely thank you to Bruno and Hugo for their time, for the contributions, and listening into the right things, plugging in the right information. That's helping everybody, because this video is on record. When now somebody will create a mind map out of it, it will help other people themselves. Plus the video content's going to be on YouTube. So I mean, I don't know who else to thank, because there are so many people to thank and so many reasons to thank. So I want to close the note with thank you and gratitude.
Thank you very much. Okay, guys, thanks everyone. I'm just kind of saying Bruno said was share. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. Simone says wonderful encounter. So thanks everyone. We do this because you're here with us, right? So send us email, send us messages. Actually, let me just kind of quickly put here, because I removed that for some reason. So let me just kind of quickly put here everyone's Twitter account, right? So follow all those guys here on
Follow
Twitter,
us,
right?
ask
You know,
us the questions.
yeah, send us questions on Twitter, and so we can answer in the next one. Thanks everyone. Have a great night. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. See
Thanks,
ya. Bye
everyone.
bye.